I was pregnant with my second son when a neighbor told me they were building a daycare at Mount St. Vincent. That afternoon, I came over here. The director was here, and I asked her if she had room in the daycare, and she said they hadn't even started having kids here yet. And I said, well, put my son down on the waiting list. She said, I don't have a waiting list. I said, well, here's a pen and a paper, and now you do. So he was actually the first person in the daycare here. And then when they were here, I did volunteer art projects with them, and then also up on some of the floors. At the same time, I was working for the Seattle Weekly in their darkroom, and I was laid off, quit, whatever. So I left there. And I had another job kind of waiting for me that was the same. It was darkroom work. I wasn't excited about it. And I thought, I'm just going to take 6 months off and think about what it is I would most like to do. And what it was teaching intergenerational art. And I don't think at the time they had many intergenerational activities per se here. They did have the kids ate in the cafeteria with the residents. They didn't have the food down there.
Okay.
But they didn't have anything really organized that they did together. And so I went to the CEO. She had 2 sons when my kids were here.
Okay.
I proposed one class, and she was a little hesitant, but she said, okay, you can try it for 3 months.
But you proposed an intergenerational class,
right,
not just for the kids. But...
Right. She said, well, try it for 3 months.
Okay.
Then another 3 months. And then I asked her if I could add on another class. And she said, okay. And I did another 3 months and another class until today, where I teach 2 morning classes that are intergenerational. That means it's the 5-year-olds work side by side with the residents who live here. Then the afternoon class, which is all residents. And Libby has volunteered in both of those classes.
Yes.
So she has experience in both of them. The class has been running now for 23 years. That's a long time.
Yeah,
and
that's so wonderful.
with time, you figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
One of the things we do is place the kids, resident kid, so that they can have those interactions. It's not busy work. There actually is a curriculum learning about design concepts and different kinds of media and materials to work with.
Yeah.
But there's also the whole part of it that's about relationships,
yeah,
about working on getting to understand and know people. I feel like in teaching residents with kids, people are at different levels. Some people 95 years old and have never had an art class. Other people have, and they've had, some art experience. They have some context. So the projects have to satisfy a range of abilities,
right?
Which means 5-year-olds as well.
Right.
It's not always easy to do that, but I think having the kids there helps the residents to be less inhibited.
Yes, I definitely have seen that.
Less worried about the results.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen that, where the adults, they enjoy being that older person who has something that they can maybe offer the kids just by their presence and their wisdom, and their, they're very kind to them, and they're very helpful. I've seen where the kids, because they don't even have an agenda, they're just doing their thing, they can sort of lead the way sometimes in approaching the project, where some adults, just because that's what happens to us sometimes, we get too perfectionist-y and worried that it has to be right, and, we lose that spontaneity. It's a nice balance.
And I think the kids aren't so concerned as adults are about the result. They're more involved in the process and less in the product. So they bring that out in the adults.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah. The adults in the morning class, a lot of times they don't care about getting their work back.
Right.
They don't have a strong sense of ownership of it. And in fact, sometimes they will let the kids draw on their paper, which I allow. I don't allow the reverse. I think sometimes when a child asks an adult to draw on their paper, they're saying, I can't do it. And if they say, okay, then we're giving validity to that fear that they can't do it.
Very often, the residents, so much of what they're getting out of that class with the kids is the interaction. I mean, certainly they're enjoying the art and they're learning, and clearly their priority is just that closeness and that interaction.
And that's one of the ways I talked Charlene into letting me stay here and do this, because there are programs like Seniors Making Art where they come in for 4 weeks or 6 weeks and they do some great things. They have some great artists, but 4 weeks or 6 weeks is not long enough to get to know somebody, even to know that somebody's deaf in their right ear. You have to talk to them in their, it's good to know those things and to understand, to be able to encourage somebody and guide somebody right up to their limitations. Another thing that I think is really important, especially in the afternoon class, with residents only. But a lot of those people come in without any or very much art exposure. And so they feel like, well, I can't do very much because it doesn't look like Norman Rockwell. And it is a big job for me to introduce them to other artists. Yeah, I show them Van Gogh and stuff, but I also want to show them artists that are outsider artists, or older artists, people that they could relate to, and stuff that's not all representational. From there, to try and get them see their own work and what qualities they have that are beautiful. So every year we have a show. Where we frame something from each person in the morning class and the afternoon class. So the kids that have participated and the residents have participated.
And it's one of the most highly anticipated events of the year.
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean,
throughout the Mount. Seriously, people love it.
It's a lot of work. There's about 50 pieces in all, but it's a lot of fun. When they see their work framed, it takes on a whole different aspect. It's art.
It's art. This is real art.
To see that a total stranger will lay down $100 to buy something that they painted kind of blows them away.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of confidence, and that leads them to
it's really rich.
More.
I mean, I think of the art classes as just these precious treasures that go unseen by most of the world, but that are just gold for the community. I mean, they embody what makes life special.
I have 2 months off in the summer, and we just had our last class last week. So now is the time to come up with new projects, and so we can come back refreshed.
You got to get on that.
Yeah.